Welcome to the new episode of the Modern Musician Survival Guide podcast. And today I'm talking about 7 ways in which I use AI as a musician. On the previous episode with Karen Khachatyan of Notation AI, we talked about the different ways in which he implements the technology that he developed through Notation AI in order to help orchestras and organizations streamline and reduce costs for a professional video recording process. If you haven't listened to that episode, I strongly recommend you do, because I find it really fascinating what he's doing. And at the same time today, I really want to address what we single musicians or members of an ensemble could use AI for. I've had some conversations with some of my colleagues, and I heard phrases like, well, I don't really use it. Maybe I use it when I need to write a funding request, or I use it for creating images for the posters, but I don't really have an idea of how to use it in a better way. So I have been playing a bit with AI, different AI tools, different AI platforms. And lately, AI as a whole topic is very hyped up. There's a lot of videos about it. There's a lot of articles about it. Everywhere you just see and hear AI, AI, AI. And as artificial intelligence is a great technology, it's only as good as the person that uses it. So in this short episode, I wanted to give you some ways in which I use AI. Maybe you can find a bit of inspiration also for yourself. Or if you use AI in a different way, please comment in the comment section of this video, or comment on Spotify if you're listening to it there, or just send a message on Instagram or send me an email. Basically, I would be very curious how you, the listener, are also using AI when it comes to your work. So the first way in which I use AI as a musician is content creation and strategy. It's pretty straightforward. I'm basically using it for brainstorming ideas, for trying out different hooks. I am also lately analyzing monthly and weekly statistics, which I basically upload to ChatGPT, where I have a special project only for content creation, and where I get an analysis of things that maybe I'm not seeing, or maybe hidden weaknesses or strengths. I might think, wow, this piece of content, this reel worked very well. Why is that? Or why did I put so much time into this reel, which I thought would be amazing, and when it just got, I don't know, maybe 500 views or something like that. So content creation, adapting the different contents and repurposing the contents and the strategy for different platforms. Because I could just post the same thing I'm posting on Instagram, also on YouTube or on LinkedIn or Facebook or wherever. But the truth is, many times these platforms have their own specifics and their own kind of preferred formats and visuals. It's kind of very helpful. And also, I'm using Notion AI also for the content scheduling. For example, okay, I have these ideas, and instead of writing them on a piece of paper, I have a database of different ideas, when to post it, where to post it, how to frame it, what hook to use, and so on and so forth. So yeah, that's kind of really about reducing the friction of a task, because I could really sit there and think, oh, well, maybe I should do this, or maybe I should do that, or what would be best for writing. And it takes time. And with the help of AI and analyzing what worked, what type of communication style worked, I actually managed to find for myself a better way to accelerate my work when it comes to content creation. The second way in which I use AI is by brainstorming ideas and concepts. Like, for example, I might have a concert organizer call me and tell me the theme of the entire festival or the concert series is something. I don't know. Like, recently I had this concert, which I jumped in to substitute a colleague of mine. And the theme of the entire festival was youth. And I started thinking, okay, what can I put together? What would work? And using kind of AI as a sparring partner to whom I would say, well, I play this. I also uploaded my entire repertoire to it so it knows what I play. And it can also suggest pieces that could fit the program. Of course, the output is not always great because it doesn't know the pieces the way I do. And to have a good fit, you also need your own judgment of taste. Does it work? Is it there? Critically thinking. Is this concept actually working? Or maybe I might think about, okay, I want to create a project involving a certain instrumentation. And then I would research pieces and look at ideas and whether it's relevant to one another and whether it works together. So that's kind of the second way I'm kind of exploring that. And a very good tool, which one of my mentors, Bernhard Keres, developed, and I will link in the description of this episode. He created this AI called Ask Bernhard, and it's trained on all of the years of coaching that he has done with musicians. It is also trained on his book, Be Your Own Manager, and all the different courses and his different writings. And it's actually quite good at recommending also pieces and concepts for concerts. So yeah, that's another way which I find very useful in my work, also because AI sometimes can point me in a direction that I was completely not aware of. So having this kind of brainstorming or a different perspective, a different set of eyes, if you can put it like that, it's very useful for me in my work. The third way in which I use AI as a musician is writing and communication. I use different AI tools like Claude or ChatGPT or Gemini to streamline, for example, my emails and get a better understanding of what needs communicated and in what way. So I managed to refine it. Of course, many times it's just almost close to perfect structure, but it's not the way I speak. So in the end, I might take the draft idea, the proposal given to me by Gemini or by ChatGPT, and then I would filter it from my own language and from my own eyes, also because you need to have, again, critical thinking in the output that comes out, and you don't want to sound like someone else, or even worse, like everyone else, because if everyone is using these tools and is writing exactly almost like copy pasting the email, the suggested email, then every email sounds the same, and then it loses your own voice and personality and touch. Another way, for example, for communication, it's also on social media, how I write the caption of a post. On LinkedIn, it's slightly more professional and presenter oriented. On Instagram, it's a little bit more warm and friendly. So there's, again, different types of ways in which you can communicate. Then another thing which, it helps me write is funding grants, because many times you would have all of these applications in which the language is kind of technical, so you are not always sure what to ask. An assistant might be amazing for that. And in that regard, very often I would either fill in the application with the help of ChatGPT or even Perplexity, with their assistant that can even see the web page and suggest to me what is the correct answer and structure when it comes to, for example, the formulation of a project or the description of a project or a calculation of a budget and what goal that project has. And I have done that quite often, and I was successful in securing a pretty substantial grant. So I'm very satisfied with that. Of course, it's, again, all the time, the output needs to be checked and thought through with your own eyes, with your own voice, with your own head and mind. And another way in which I use AI for communication is newsletters, for example, because there can be so much happening in my life, but at the same time, I don't want that the reader is bored of reading a long list of what has been happening in my life. So with the help of different AI tools, I managed to work on the essence and what is most important to be said in that newsletter and what can be left out or reduced to just a couple of sentences. So yeah, the third way is definitely writing and communication. And the fourth way in which I use AI is planning, strategy, and decision making. The last one is especially important for me. But to start with the planning, for example, I might think, okay, I am planning a self-produced concert. And in order for that to happen, I need to plan the different steps to get to that point. So what needs to be done right now? Like securing the venue, planning the marketing for that concert, planning the program and the collaborators and also the funds, planning ticket sales, and so on and so forth. Also, that is kind of strategy, especially with, let's say, the broader career direction I'm at. They have a special project dedicated only to career strategy and to figuring out what are the next steps that I need to take in order to arrive where I want to be in my career. And the last one, decision making, I actually made a framework for myself, and every opportunity that comes my way, I filter it through this framework. I basically put what is important for me, what are my goals, what are my non-negotiables. And when I, for example, receive a proposal or an offer with project, I take it to this framework, to this chat, and I have an idea of what I would say and I want to do. And then I ask the AI tool to tell me, what do you think? Is this an opportunity that aligns with my career strategy, with my trajectory, and with my goals? And AI is objectively analyzing the opportunity and telling me what is in there for me, and most crucially, what's not in there for me. Because I believe all of us musicians, we kind of grew up with this mindset that, oh, I need to accept every opportunity that comes my way because you never know, maybe someone will hear me, maybe someone will come up to me and invite me to another concert, or maybe there will be a future collaboration, or maybe, and if you notice, there's a lot of maybes, right? And it's also an emotional decision because if money and prestige and everything else were not a problem, I believe many of us would play in as many cool concerts and projects as possible. At the same time, I believe it's very important to understand what we should say no to. Because if we say yes to one thing, we say no to another thing. And again, it's emotional. So that mindset starts coming out, and I'm thinking, well, yes, the money is not good, but it's very near to there. So maybe I could invite this concert organizer to my concert, and maybe they will call me if I play my cards right. Maybe they will invite me the next year for another concert. And I kind of say that to the AI tool, and it tells me, well, look, here is where this is realistic and here is where it's wishful thinking. And I specifically ask it not to sugarcoat it and just tell me the truth about that opportunity that I asked for. Yeah, and if this is interesting for you, let me know in the comment section, and I might make this framework or example of a framework that I'm using available also to the listeners of the podcast. The fifth area and way in which I use AI is business development. So I have 2 podcasts. I also perform, I also teach, and there's a lot of different other things that I'm doing. And it takes a lot of time to plan the episodes, to outline the episodes, to have also a sort of structure of what I will be talking about and the guests that I will have on the podcast. And all of that as a solo creator would be very, very hard to pull off without some sort of assistant. in this case, an AI assistant that would help me to accelerate and streamline the process. So basically, in managing this podcast, I'm recording this episode on a platform called Riverside FM, which is basically also using AI to suggest moments to create reels. It actually creates reels, but then I create my own because for some reason I prefer to have more control on that. At the same time, it can also transcribe the entire episode, and then I can create also a post. So there are many things, like also suggesting titles for the episodes, the different covers for the episodes. So there's a lot of things that are being almost automated with me supervising the entire process, because I still want it to be in my own voice and in the way which I would express what I want to communicate. And also, for example, there are different products, like, for example, the AI networking template that's available also in the description of this episode, or, for example, the free social media clarity prompt, which you can get by clicking in the link in the description. And that will help you also to figure out, back to point one, to figure out a content strategy, to plan it, to understand the way you want to be perceived online, and to build an online presence. So I find it very useful in this business development side. The sixth way in which I use AI as a musician in my own career is admin, research, and organization. Basically, all of the tasks that require the sorting of emails or looking for a certain contact, looking for a certain venue, an email address, a phone number, organizing ideas, organizing the material in the best way possible, structuring also the emails into different labels. That's also, a lot of it is done with AI. And actually, two of the amazing ways in which I believe AI helped me a lot was, the first one, I was thinking about organizing a concert in Switzerland in a certain area, and I needed the hall to be for rent, as accessible as possible, and it needed to have a grand piano. I could, of course, sit for hours and go through the different venues, but then I thought, you know what, let me try this thing with AI agents. So I gave the AI agent the goal of finding all of the venues that were for rent, that have a grand piano in that area, and with the phone number and the name of a person and the email to contact in order to book that, with a price list if available. And I think I went to practice for something. After 10, 15 minutes of research, I had the entire list of, 20 venues, also with potential funding opportunities, with where available the prices for those venues. So that's something that saved me a lot of time going through all of those contacts. And of course, I later went and checked, okay, is this a hall that fits my needs? But to me, it's automated the research in such a way that I really saved a lot of time and energy, and also confusion on deciding, is this hall for me or not. And the second way, which I found amazing, I had a list of names and presenters and festivals in a database in Notion AI. And I asked Notion AI, could you please look up online these names? And if you find beyond any reasonable doubt that this is the correct person, please find me the email address for that person and the phone number. I again left it for, I think, 20 minutes or something, and the database was complete and full with information, which of course I had to check again because many names changed. Maybe the information was old, or there were some inconsistencies in the data, but still that helped me in the research and the organization incredibly. And the seventh way in which I use AI is more for finances and practical life, basically. We musicians, most of us, we were not educated in a financial way. And I believe most people and most adults who don't have a degree in financial studies are not exceptionally financially literate. Today that's changing, and a lot of people know much more because the information is more available. But all the same, sometimes I need a second or a third opinion on some decisions, financial decisions, or for example, I had to clear some insurance debt, and with the help of AI, I managed to make a strategy in which I could save in different areas of my work and of my life, and managed to clear that in as less time as possible. Something that would, I wouldn't say keep me up at night, but still was rather concerning and in the back of my mind. Because again, money is also emotional, and we will have very soon an episode, especially on the topic of money and finances. But yeah, I found it really helpful and really useful also to go through different scenarios of, if I do this, what happens then? What is the fastest way to, I don't know, sell tickets or find funding for this concert? Or what would be the budget for this entire tour that I'm doing with other three musicians in Germany, for example? And again, the numbers many times could be wrong. So because it really accounts for averages, and you need to give the very specific numbers to work, but it really helps you accelerate that process and get you much faster towards your end goal. So yeah, these are the 7 ways in which I use AI as a musician. So to summarize, it's the first one is content creation and strategy. The second one is brainstorming creative projects and ideas. The third one is writing and communication. The fourth one is planning, strategy, and decision making. The fifth one is business and product development. The sixth one is research, admin, and organization. And the seventh one is finances and practical life questions. Thank you for listening to this episode, and I would like to leave you with one question. Where in my career do I experience the most friction right now? And can AI help reduce that? Thank you again for listening, and see you in the next episode.